kind of like the retirement place for like the prison, right? Even though they're not retiring, but they're retiring from their prison career. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be checking out this video inside Bastoy prison, Norway's controversial island for inmates. I've actually done a Norway prison reaction a couple years back. It wasn't on an island though. If you look at the thumbnail here, it's just showing a guy laying right there. Looks like he's relaxing, having a nice time. But anyways, this was in the reaction suggestion form that I have down below. No name, so no shout out. But anyways, thanks for that. The original channel is True Crime Chronicles. Links down below. So thanks for watching with me. We're going to check it out together, guys.
Imagine a prison where inmates sunbathe on the beach, work on farms and ride horses instead of staring at concrete walls or surviving on canned food and violence. Sounds like a luxury resort, right?
Kind of.
But this is no vacation. This is Bastoy prison. Norway.
Of course, there's no vacation. It's still prison. Like you're still not going home for a long time, probably.
Norway's most controversial and most celebrated correctional facility.
I wonder if this is the same place that I checked out before. True Crime Chronicles.
Welcome back to True Crime Chronicles, the place
geez.
where we uncover the darkest corners and the most unbelievable realities of the justice system.
All right.
Today, we're taking you to a remote island in the Oslofjord, where punishment meets rehabilitation in a way you've probably never seen before. This is the story of Bastoy Prison, the island retreat for inmates. About 75 kilometers south of Oslo, on a small island surrounded by icy Norwegian waters, sits Bastoy Prison, often dubbed the world's most humane prison. But this wasn't always a...
As it has like crazy like psycho music in the background. Talking about it's the most humane prison.
always a place of peace and progress. Bastoy Island's dark past stretches back over a century. In 1900, it opened as a reformatory for troubled boys, a place meant to correct misbehavior through discipline and hard labor.
Okay.
What unfolded, however, was a brutal chapter in Norwegian history. The boys were often subjected to harsh punishments, physical abuse, and grueling work. It wasn't until 1953 that the school was shut down. Then in 1980,
There's a lot of that here too. In the early, like late 1800s, early 1900s, a lot of like mental facilities. They did a lot of crazy stuff, got shut down around that time here too, I think. A lot of them are claimed to be haunted, who knows?
1982, the island transformed into what it is today, Bastoy Prison. But the shift wasn't immediate. It took years of planning, debates, and a reimagining of what incarceration should look like. Unlike traditional prisons with barbed wire fences and surveillance towers, Bastoy feels more like a coastal village. There are no walls. Inmates live in small wooden cottages, 6 per house, with private rooms, shared kitchens, and communal living areas. They wear regular clothes. They cook their own meals. They go to work. Some tend to the island's organic farm, others chop wood, work in the stables, or maintain the island's infrastructure. They earn wages, shop in a grocery store on the island, and are even responsible for snow removal during winter.
Sounds very similar to that other prison, but I don't think they were on an island. So it might just be the system is the same, where they, because I think that was kind of like they had their own little apartment. I don't know that it was an island, though.
There's a church, a library, a school, and plenty of recreational space. But the most striking image? Inmates sunbathing by the sea, fishing off the dock, or skiing through the snow-covered island in winter. Food at Bastoy isn't prison slop. Since inmates cook for themselves, they're given raw ingredients and expected to prepare their own meals.
See, we've all seen prison shows here. They're just locked in like a box all the time. I think they go to like a prison or like a giant cafeteria kind of thing, right? It's where all the fights happen, I guess. I don't know. never been to prison, but like you've seen it on the TV shows and on the movies, and it's a lot different than that. There's certainly not no island where anybody's sunbathing or or anything like that. That's for sure.
something that builds a sense of normalcy and responsibility. And the food
Making
is good.
cupcakes?
Fresh
Or
vegetables
no?
from the farm and
Okay, we got some look like some chicken nuggets or something. Some ketchup, yeah. Mozzarella cheese sticks, some broccoli, carrots, some, you know. This right here, it looked like icing. That's what it looked like. I she was making cupcakes for a second. It looked like, but it's not. It's like mayonnaise, perhaps, and like a squeeze thing. I don't know.
responsibility. And the food is good. Fresh vegetables from the farm, fish from the waters around the island, and access to healthy, nutritious ingredients.
Looked like chicken
Who are the
nuggets.
inmates? This is not a low-stakes population. Bastoy is home to murderers, rapists, and serious offenders. But there's a catch. Only inmates with no record of violence while incarcerated and who are nearing the end of their sentences are considered for transfer to Bastoy.
Okay, that makes sense because you have to be towards the end and like no violence while you've so you have to like prove that like you've been doing good, you haven't been causing any problems while you've been in the system. And then towards the end, it's kind of like the retirement place for like the prison, right? Even though they're not retiring, but they're retiring from their prison career. So they go to this nice, relaxed place, transitions them kind of back into society a little bit too, because you're not just throwing them from a cement box directly into society. They're going here, which is kind of like a small community, uh, which is somewhat like real life before going back to the actual real life. That's pretty cool.
It's a place for those who've shown they want change.
Yeah.
The philosophy here is simple. Treat people like humans, and they'll act like it. The goal isn't punishment, but reintegration. Norway has one of the lowest recidivism rates in the world.
Right.
Only about 20% of former inmates reoffend, compared to nearly 70% in the US. Bastoy itself boasts a recidivism rate even lower than the national average, around 16%. It's a model that has stunned the world, but it hasn't come without criticism. Not everyone believes in Bastoy's gentle approach. Critics argue that it's too soft, that it insults the victims of serious crimes, and that it undermines the notion of justice.
But they also said for inmates that's nearing the end of their sentence, murderers, stuff like that. So I would assume, murderers, they're at the end of their sentence, I would assume they've been there for a while in a regular prison, right? And then go here. It's not like they're just going straight here and they're, right after um, doing these crazy crimes. They're going to a regular prison first, then here's what it sounds like. So I don't know.
There are also concerns about the exclusivity of the program.
But I do see their point. Just saying. I see both sides of it for sure.
Bastoy only houses about 115 inmates, less than 1% of Norway's prison population.
Okay, yeah.
Only those who have shown good behavior can transfer here.
Right.
It's not a reflection of the system as a whole, but rather a controlled experiment, and one that might not scale easily. And while Bastoy is often praised, it's important not to forget its shadowy past.
They probably don't forget. There's probably ghosts there. Places like that seem to be haunted. I don't know. Do you guys believe in ghosts? Put a ghost emoji down there. There you go. If you believe in them, or if you just heard this part of me, if you're watching at this point, right?
In 1915, the island saw a full-blown rebellion, the Bastoy Boys' Rebellion. The boys, abused and overworked, revolted against the guards. The military had to be brought in to restore order.
Jeez.
At least one boy was shot and killed. This chapter reminds us that Bastoy wasn't always a utopia.
And he's still haunting the place to this day.
One of the more infamous names associated with Bastoy is Varg Vikernes, the black metal musician convicted of murder and church arson. Though he wasn't imprisoned on Bastoy during the height of his sentence, he was transferred to a low-security facility with similar policies, sparking public outrage. Many believed such privileges were far too lenient for someone who committed such a heinous crime. While not a direct Bastoy case, The controversy around
Mm.
Vikernes highlighted Norway's liberal prison philosophy, one that includes Bastoy at its center. So is Bastoy the future of prisons? That depends on who you ask. Supporters
I mean, we'll see how it goes, right? I mean, like they said, it's a trial run, less than 1% of Norway's prison population. So we'll just see how does it go, right? How do you know how it goes? Maybe you just got to wait 10, 15 years after the people get released from there and see if they reoffend, right? If they don't, they transition into society good 10, 15, 20 years later. Hey, I mean, it's probably pretty good, right?
Supporters argue that dignity, education, and responsibility break the cycle of crime. Opponents argue that consequences need to be felt, not softened. But here's the paradox. In treating prisoners like humans, Bastoy might be doing more to prevent crime than the toughest maximum security prison ever could. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Bastoy.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. That could be, it might be a very effective thing. Seems like it might be working. Like you know, it, to have somebody locked up for that long and then, after they've been there 20, 30 years, then get released and then go right back to society. It's kind of crazy anyway. So maybe that's a good thing to have like almost like a transitioning spot. I don't know. Like and subscribe. Have a super fun, awesome day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye.